been going through this Micah Parsons move, the Dallas Cowboys trading away Micah to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and DT Kenny Clark, and we've heard from Jerry Jones in the press conference yesterday. We've talked about how this affects the Dallas Cowboys, but now let's spin it to the other side and what this means for the Green Bay Packers. You add one of the most productive, disruptive, and versatile pieces to your defense. That raises expectations. And by the way, this guy is entering his prime. He just turned 26 years old. You sign him to a 4-year extension. That window that you had to win, it's open. It is certainly open, which brings pressure. So the odds, Nuno, if you could put that back up on the screen here for the Green Bay Packers, obviously the lines changed yesterday. The odds for the Packers to win the NFC improved from 10-1 to plus 550. That's now tied with the Detroit Lions for the second best odds. Now for the Super Bowl, their odds improved from 20-1 to 14-1, which are the 6th best odds. Myron, when you think about what this means for the Green Bay Packers, how does this ramp up those Super Bowl expectations?
Well, I grew up in Wisconsin, like I said, diehard Packers family. I think about all the other moments that were just like this. Reggie White shows up, Packers win a Super Bowl. Charles Woodson shows up, Packers win a Super Bowl. And I think this could be that for the Green Bay Packers with Micah Parsons. I think it really changes the entire landscape, not just of the NFC, but the entire NFL. Philly is the defending champion. Everybody knows how great they are. And I think there's every reason to believe that they can repeat as champions. But what else do you have in the NFC? A lot of question marks. Washington with a young quarterback. Can Jayden Daniels do it again? Matthew Stafford at 37 with a bad back. You look at the NFC North, Detroit losing both coordinators. Do you believe in J.J. McCarthy? I feel like the Packers are right there behind Philadelphia. And I think it's reasonable to feel like they have a chance to get to the NFC Championship game and see what happens from here. I think this is that kind of a monumental trade that changes the entire landscape of the league.
We talk about Micah Parsons' age a lot because he's 26 years old. Green Bay makes this trade. They give him the 4-year extension immediately. If all goes well, you have him for a decade. Pass rushers can play into their mid-30s and still be incredibly effective. So, of course, when you think about Super Bowl window, you think it's going to be open for a while. But I said this yesterday when this was percolating. I'm doubling down on it today. They need to win the Super Bowl in the next 2 years. They absolutely do not make this move if they don't feel the pressure to do so. Why? Matt LaFleur, their head coach, Brian Gutekunst, their general manager, do not have contract extensions. Their deals are up after this year. It was a big story in the off season, and then there was this justification of, let's see how this year goes. It doesn't feel like they're on the hot seat. You don't make a move like this if you're not feeling the pressure to win right now, to take advantage of, as Myron pointed out, an NFC where your top contenders all are legitimate, but every single one of them you can poke holes in. Philly in their defense and the pieces that are now out the door and somewhere else. You had a top 5 defense in Green Bay last year. Does this take you to top 2? Top number 1 defense? Potentially. It very well should, given the magnitude of the trade that you made, the picks that you gave up, and the caliber of the player that you brought in. So it's not just Super Bowl or bust. It's not just all in Green Bay. It's you better do it right now or at the very latest in 2026.
Yeah, this is the Packers pushing their chips in. They're looking at what they believe to be a franchise quarterback in Jordan Love. They're looking at the defense that they had last year, now adding Micah Parsons to it. Obviously, that fortifies the defense in a very significant way. And they're looking at all the young talent that they have around Jordan Love on the offensive side of the ball. I kept saying this even before the Micah trade, that I thought the Packers were dangerous because of that youth and that window being open, because you have a lot of young pieces on that offense that are young enough to still be malleable, but also they've been to the playoffs the past 2 years, so they have that callus of knowing how to get to the postseason and win some games. Then you draft Matthew Golden, the first time the Packers have taken a wide receiver in the first round in 23 years, to give Jordan Love what's hopefully a true number one wide receiver. And now you're telling me you're adding Micah Parsons to this? Yeah, we're talking about a team that should be going to the Super Bowl. We're talking about a team that should be winning a Super Bowl, and the pressure is on.
Isn't it crazy how young they are, too?
They're so young.
You've brought this up multiple times, Michelle, and we usually don't find out. Like, the NFL will put out youngest rosters the week going into the opener. And last year they had the youngest team in the NFL. The offense, think about where Jordan Love is right now. He got his big extension. They now have two players that they're paying more than $100 million to on these contracts, both Jordan Love and Micah Parsons. But he's in his, 25, 26 years old. Micah Parsons, 26 years old. All of these receivers are babies. When you think about it, to be one of the youngest teams and now to have this runway to go multiple years being a contender, if all goes well, the Packers are the new breed in the NFC, and I know it's a brand that has been around for a very long time. They are always competitive, but this takes you from good to great, and from great to perennial Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, and you have to think about Dallas Cowboys fans this morning, especially Courtney, as you're outlining that. Okay, so you just moved on from Micah Parsons, who's entering his prime at 26 years old and who's incredibly productive, one of the best players in the NFL. And you ship him off to a team that 2 years ago came into your house and beat you. You're looking in the playoffs, and you're looking at the construction of this team, and you're like, wow, that front office, Brian Gutekunst, how smart are they? Look at this young talent that they've compiled. Look how they passed the baton from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback. Now they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, hopefully, or at least that's the expectation, for years to come. Oh, the team that just won the Super Bowl and our division in the Philadelphia Eagles, same thing. They negotiate deals early. They make sure if they're moving on from people that they reload. They always have a plan, and they're always fortifying and tinkering with that roster. Smart front office. And what do the Cowboys have? Jerry Jones, who once again let his ego get in the way of what's best for the Dallas Cowboys.